Welcome to another episode of the NEL Show. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode, which is the first episode in the second half of the year at the time of this recording. My name is SAGENEL, and it is a pleasure to present to you today's guest who, oh my God, I totally am happy to be learning from this evening. It will join in shortly and we will just get right into his profile and get right into the conversation. Thank you for joining in. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's a good time to like, subscribe, share because you're totally going to enjoy this video, and check the description for offers that we have for you. This is a great show for entrepreneurs, business owners, especially that want to do something different from what has been done or what has been produced as we know it. And Mr. Samuel Jegede is just such an example. All right, I believe he's going to join in shortly. Okay, he'll be here shortly. Okay, he's here. Yay, so excited. Let me add him to the conversation and then we'll get right. Thank you for joining us. All right. Mr. Jegede, I just accepted him now, so yeah, we'll be starting out the conversation. Good evening, Mr. Jegede. I'm so excited to have you this evening, finally.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to Bola for everything that she did to make this possible. I don't take it at all for granted. So I'll just go to read your profile. Okay, can you hear me? Oh, okay.
I can hear you now.
I think it was paused from your side, but I think you can hear me now.
Back on now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just go on to read your profile for those who are just getting to meet you, and we'll go straight into the conversation. Samuel Jegede is a seasoned businessman with hands-on experience in starting, running, and sustaining profitable businesses across several states in Nigeria. He's a Lagos business school alumnus, is passionate about teaching his hard-learned lessons to a willing audience with a focus on demystifying success and making it replicable. Is the founder of Fruity Life and the visionary of Mr. Jegs Africa, a platform designed to directly impact business people across Africa. Welcome to again and again, and welcome to Bola. Oh, Bola made this possible. Thank you so much. You literally deserve special stars. Thank you. All right, so get right into the first question. We want to, first of all, the purpose. Let me establish my purpose. Why I wanted to have this conversation with you is because I'm not a Fruity Life fan. I'm a Fruity Life champion. Like, we've moved from just hailing the brand, like we are loyal. That's what I'm not a fan. I'm a champion, and I've taken so many calls. I was like, like, let me even try to interview the CEO of Fruity Life to just find out how he birthed this vision that is so good, creating healthy alternatives and opportunity for us that want to go that path of healthy living. So with that in mind, we're going to start out with understanding what was growing up like for you. Share with us, because we know you now, but tell us about you then when we didn't know about you.
Well, thank you very much once again for having me. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay.
So it's a privilege to be here and to be interviewed. So growing up was just this regular, guy. I had a lot of sisters. Dad was in the force. Mom had a business. It was pretty regular. But I think if I'm going to say anything that stands out is that I started business pretty early. Before coming out of secondary school. I think I had started or just right after. I'll check. But I
Mm.
started doing some business. Went to a private secondary school. It was the type of family initially.
Mm.
Initially, we it was a how I'm trying not to say too much while I give enough.
Mm.
So the family was doing well, and when I got into secondary school, I started seeing that okay, some things were going south, maybe financially or so. So, but I think that really sparked the desire to start business and start making my own money. So yeah,
Mm.
that's growing up for me. My siblings, they're all ladies. I'm the only guy of my family. I went to Covenant University also. Started Fruity Life. It wasn't Fruity Life when I was in CU. I think I started as chain maker event. You just keep pivoting and pivoting till you get to the place that really matters. Yeah. So that's growing up for me.
Okay, you spoke about a business that you started in secondary school. Could you tell us a bit about what that business was about? Was it
Okay.
still a food business
No, no,
like
no,
you?
no. It wasn't food business. Uh, I At that time, I think cell phones just came in, and there was nothing like order your your scratch card online. So I started something that people could flash me, and I'll just send them like a minimum amount of airtime. So
Mm.
instead of going outside to go and buy instead of going outside to go and buy scratch card, 100 MTN did not have 100 naira at that time. I
Mm.
think it was some 450,
750,
750. They didn't have
1000.
500. I don't think it's 500. They had 750, some odd
7.
odd numbers like that. 1005, 750. Then maybe later on they introduced 100. And so you just flash me and I'll be able to do it. Then I did, there was this man, it was like a pastor who brought in some clothes for some accessories of clothes from, I don't know if it's South Korea or something. He brought in some items from Asia, one Asian country, and I helped him to sell it also. I sold some jewelry, I sold ties to guys in the bank. So I just tried to do whatever my hand found to do at that time. So yeah, those are the businesses I did not food.
At that particular time, were you doing it were you starting to get interested? Because you already shared at the beginning how you needed to also do it out of necessity as well. But were you now starting to get interested when you were doing those businesses at the time? Or it was just mainly out of necessity at that time?
It was out of necessity. Apart from the fact that I wanted to make money, right? I didn't, even though I couldn't articulate it at that point, I knew that there was a freedom that would give, and I wanted it at that time. So I don't know, maybe it's from a book or something, but I just knew that if I could sell it, I could make a markup, I'll be able to buy other things, So I think it was out of necessity, knowing that if I do better, I'll even be there for my family, basically, back then. So, yeah, that was it. That was
Okay. Before I move into the what was the journey like for you before Fruity Life, I want to say, what were some of the lessons, if you can remember any, that you learned
it.
from that period, that a person going through that period would find value learning from you?
Okay. Some of the lessons I learned is it before Fruity Life, right?
Yes, before Fruit.
Okay, way back then. I think you should start early. Starting early will expose you to a lot of yeses, nos, and all the reality of business. So you have some mental fortitude, as it were. Those are some of the lessons I learned. If you're selling a product with great quality, it's easier to sell. You know, um, Back then, don't don't use all your profits. So there was this scenario, there was this thing that happened. at a point I was trying to buy a type of phone, that I saw my friend, um, I think his mom bought it for him. And I I don't think my parents could have bought that for me at that time, right?
Mm.
So I tried to sell, gather money from the recharge card, and use all the money to try to get a phone. We were swindled in Computer Village,
Wow.
and I think we came back with half of the money. So don't use your all your money to buy luxury. That
Mm.
is
Mm.
so just keep growing the business, because if I just kept growing the business, I'll still have that money with me. So I just say, hey, that's one major lesson. Don't use all your money to get luxury. Just keep growing your business, keep pouring it back. Just keep growing, keep growing. I'm sure something else will come that you can expand into. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Now we want to
Thank
learn
you.
about your journey before Fruity Life, before we even move to the
Okay.
Fruity Life phase. What was it? Maybe
Okay.
it will probably be between the journey you shared with us, and then there'll be probably the gap between is probably what you're going to share with us. But how was Fruity Life conceived? Even though you spoke about the name change like now, so we would like to know, how was it conceived? How did it start? Were you sure about what the brand was going to become when it started? And then I'm
Mm.
sure you share. I'm going to ask specific questions from what you're saying.
Okay, so I was just very hungry. And I wanted to start a business. I was just very hungry, and I needed to do something to support me. Then I kept probing and probing, praying, probing, thinking, what can I do? I tried some things in school back then also. In 100 level, I think I did engineering. It was pretty successful, you know, because I always took risks anyway. I
Mm.
tried it, some failed, some succeeded. So it was this, okay, drinks. I think it was just like a low-hanging fruit for me. I'd always experimented with drinks,
Mm.
mixing this, mixing that, you know, and doing some juices. So I'd always experimented. So we started doing like fruit punch at the cafeteria back then in City.
Mm.
Then from fruit punch, I said, hey, I really want to get this right. So during IT, I went to meet somebody. I think he was working in the Boston Law Farms that time. That I
Mm.
really want to know how to make. I really want to know how to make drinks properly. I don't want to fluke it. I don't want to, just um, I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
So he showed me how to make drinks. So that's how we started juices, basically, mocktails back then. And when I came back, we did proper mocktails. It tasted better. And the thing about Covenant is, if if the students don't like your product, they will let you know by withholding their funds from you. They won't buy it. Just like any other market. If they like your product, they'll go all out. So I saw some level of success as
Mm.
an undergraduate, Then regulatory issues, maybe they stopped the business for a while. Then after graduation, I just, hey, let's register, this Fruity Life properly. It was change maker event. It was meant to be. So I've always been a man of many ideas. So I'm going to do great events that will change the mind of people. So I said, okay, since I've registered chain maker event, I'll be running the juices on that chain maker event. This was 2008. I'll be running it on the chain maker event. Then after graduation, I just said, let's do Fruity Life. Let it have its own unique name. And Fruity Life was the name that came, and it was available, and we registered it. And I'm
Wow.
hoping the rest is history.
Yes, the rest is history. Thank you so much
Mm,
for
thank you.
sharing how that journey started.
Thank
Now,
you.
was it when Fruity Life started? You shared that you started as drinks, as a drinks
Yes.
business.
Seriously,
How did
mustard.
Cafe and what inspired that? I think that that's important because up until now, many people are now beginning to do parfait, parfait, parfait. But when Pretty Life started parfait, it wasn't so. It wasn't as popular as many people are doing now. So when you started
Mm.
that parfait part of Fruity Life, because Fruity Life has other things, not just parfait. When you started that parfait, what made you know or even think that it was going to be successful in any form of fashion?
Anyway, in all fairness, back then there was can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, 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 okay. So there was there was I think I got some funds from a brand deal or something, and I told myself that okay, I've not had this kind of money before, at once. So
Mm.
I just started thinking and praying and probing that, hey, what can I do to grow? You know,
Yeah.
in that period, it was a few days, a couple of days, right? Just probing, what can be done, what can be done. Then the inspiration came to do parfait and
Wow.
to expand it. It's more dramatic than that, but I'll just leave it as the inspiration came, right? It's more dramatic, you know. So in the time of probing and prayer, I saw that we were doing a lot of it. Then I said, okay, if that's what I'm seeing, then we can as well double down. And true to it, what I saw was what came true. I think we were the first brand to put parfait on a third party shelf. At that point, we put it in the place restaurant. Then we went to Buka Hut, put it in some place. Then a lot of people really, caught on to the, parfait craze. I won't call it a craze. I think it has come to stay anyway. But I'm glad to have been a part of leading. So we have been doing it in our store. We have
Hmm.
been doing it in our store. But we say, hey, this thing can scale, this thing can move. And that's how the idea came about, really. That's how the
Wow.
idea came about.
Okay. So, but at that point in time, Sir Jegede, did you know that you were solving a real health whether to say health challenge or health or feeding challenge? Did you know at that time?
Mm.
Because I started to really embrace Fruity Life when I started to make changes to my health. Like that's why I started eating it weekly. I mean, in part of my diet. So at that point in time,
Mm.
did you know? Because I mean, that is how serious it is. And now people are sharing about the importance of parfait, doctors, medicals, and everything in between. But at that point, did you know? Or it was just, well, being a part of the brand at that time?
In all fairness, I just wanted to give people what they love. I
Mm.
think for any business to survive, you have to listen to your customers. You know, so you listen to them. They tell you a lot with their money. Your customers tell you a lot with their money. They don't joke around with their hard-earned cash. Their money is is their time. They spent some time, they got some cash, and they're giving you that money. So when customers begin to ask about a particular product, you need to listen and do it. That was really it. I could have said, oh, one grandiose plan came, you know, but it was just listening. Yeah, it was just listening to the customer, hearing what they're saying, seeing what they're doing, and just following suit. Really, that was.
So I want to get something right. When you say listening to the customer, at the time, were customers in any form requesting for parfait before you introduced it into your line of
No,
products?
no, they
Okay.
were not. No, so we just kept researching. One of the things that we try to do, we have several variants. I think about 10 variants of parfait. You know, we don't stop at one or stop at two. So we were just researching what can we do, and we stumbled on it and like okay, we can tweak it a little because at that time people just it was really what was common was yogurt with some small fruits. We said why can't we make it a meal? and have
Mm.
more fruits and little yogurt. So we tweaked and tweaked and tweaked, and we came up with that recipe. So
Mm.
when we offered it, you have to give like free samples. Oh, what is this? We can make parfait. Okay, it's not available. You put it on the menu. Then I'm sure there were people in Nigeria who were doing parfait, but not maybe on third party shelves,
Mm.
right? So the early adopters took it. Then it was easier when some people see other people just enjoying something in front of the store. Hey, what is this thing that this man is eating? Give it to me. Then from doing maybe 10, 20, you're doing several, say, hey, this thing can travel,
Mm.
let's put it out there. And by inspiration, I was guided, into that direction. And hey, here we are.
Okay. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Could you take us through the building of the early years, what the early years of Fruity Life was like? This is especially for aspiring business owners who really admire what it is you have done in that with your business in Nigeria and are wondering, okay, I'm about to start, but how do I start? Like, how do I start with perhaps minimal funds? You did share about getting some form of funding at a point, but what do you have to share with people who, yeah, they just be starting with like basic or what they have, maybe a
Okay.
salary?
All right. So, talking about minimal funds, please, you are going to rephrase the question again. But talking about the
Okay.
funds that came in, we had already started business back then. I think that Fruity Life was already about 7 years old at that time.
Wow. It
It
wasn't
was
just
already about.
called Fruity Life
Come
and
again?
then no, I'm saying, but so it was the name that changed, but the Fruity
No,
Life
the name
started.
change came before the 7 years.
Oh,
Fruity Life was registered 2011. Right. So
yeah.
the parfait, we really started pushing it out in 2018. I think we started 2017 in our stores, in our store, in ICM store at that time. Then 2018 was when we now started putting it on third party shelves.
Okay.
So that's that. So can you please ask the question again?
Gives us context for that. Okay, so the question is, what was the building of the early years of your business like for
Okay,
you,
business.
especially those
Okay.
who are aspiring entrepreneurs?
All right. So the building of the early years, I was lucky to have started in Covenant, right? Um, Good purchasing power if they like your product, right? I was lucky to have started them. So, and I was lucky to know that if I feed my business will feed me. So
Hmm.
I was not very smart in saving or doing many things, right? But I knew that once I did those drinks, I started with drinks, right?
Yeah.
Once I did those drinks and students liked it, they were going to come back tomorrow. So I if I eat the money that I'm meant to use for production the next day, I won't have what to sell, and the business dies. And you don't want that, right? So I ensure that what did the business need for the next 3 days, we gave it to it. Then whatever was left, I think I just squandered it. Just a bit of youthful, exuberance back then. But so the early years of Fruity Life was, hey, just plow back in one place, just plow back. Then after like a couple of years, I said, hey, when these schools are on break, money goes on break. When these schools are in session, money comes back in session. I don't want anything seasonal, you know. So then we started going out. I think we went to a place called White House, Yaba, to put like a kiosk
Mhm.
there. Then we went to a restaurant, I think Magrelo's or something, put some stores there, even though, it could have gone better. But, try to do some partnerships with some brands, put our stores. Some of the brands we got greedy. Some the customers, the offering was too bougie for their customers. So we had to move. Then we went to Landmark University, got to understand, okay, if CU students will like it, then Landmark students will like it. Then We went to then we got the space in ICM. So I was looking for a space in ICM, Ikeja City Mall,
Yes.
one of the largest, biggest malls in uh, Lagos, when it comes to footfall. So I went to Ikeja City Mall, and I was on their case for like a year plus. Like I
Wow.
want a space here, I want a space here, you know. Then when we started in Landmark, they just called me and said, "Hey, Mr. Jegede, we have the space X amount." At that time, I didn't have the money,
Mm,
but by providence and because of some track record and by direction from God, you know,
mm.
we knew what to do and we did it, raised it, and started business there. Then from there, we just went to, I think we went to Redeemers, now, yes, that's the early years of Fruity Life. That's how it started to the number of stores we have now.
So, Mr. Jegede, could you speak a bit, if it's okay by you, on how an entrepreneur can raise funds if they want to expand their branches? That's one. And number two, when you
Mhm.
were expanding the branches, before even the recent brand that we know now, Ogodo Ikoyi, when you were expanding it then with Covenant, Landmark, before ICM era, did
Mhm,
you,
mhm.
were you spending money from the business, or how was that working out?
Oh, it was money from the business.
Okay.
It was money from the business. But when we wanted to go to ICM was when we had to reach out, you know, when we're going to when we're going to Yaba White House, when we're spreading to Magrelos, it was just money from within, from inside the business. I think uh, um, how will I call it? I think I think the best money to have is your money, your customers' money, right? Before you
Mm.
now go outside. So keep flowing the money back into your business. Keep flowing the money back into your business. I think that's one of the things that worked for us. Yes, we've had to raise money, even right now, we're trying to also raise because you have to leverage, right? You leverage relationships, leverage. Okay, you can ask yourself, hey, okay, I have a good product. Uh, should I wait to grow organically and it will take me 3 years to achieve X amount of stuff? Or can I, leverage other people's funds? Everybody is happy, they make some money, then I go. So we are constantly grappling with those two. So you have to first build track record. So we built with our own money first. Then people then trusted us to say, okay, if this guy has a place in C, a place in Landmark, and there's a place in ICM, and they're demanding X amount of money. Okay, he has some track record. Worst case scenario, he's going to pay us from his existing business.
Mm.
So your track record will really help. And many times in my life when I had to raise money, whether I raise debt, it's really debt because I own 100%. Um, all the times that is the collateral has been integrity. It has been my integrity, that okay, this person is doing business, is doing well. We know who this person is. So I think that has always been the collateral. So, but you have to start. There was somebody that I met one time. I think he came for a program in CU. He works with World Bank. He said, World Bank will not give you 50 naira if they don't know what you've done with your 5 naira or your 50 kobo.
Mm.
So, so people don't want to start the journey with you on the lowest rung of the ladder. It's not fair to expect that from a lot of people. They're going to put the work in, right? You
Mm.
put the work in, then you become trustworthy. They say, hey, okay, successful. Then people have had really sour stories, with people. So before you start raising funds, except in this age of raising funds here and there, I think it's okay if your business demands it right
Mm.
now, raise it all the way. But
Mm.
at that time, I didn't see the need to. And when we needed to, we went ahead. Even now, we're still trying to leverage to grow and to expand, as it were. So, I don't think it should be, I do not think, personal opinion, it should be your first choice to raise funds for a business you've never started before. You are just starting.
Mm.
You know, I do not think that you should test run. Some people say it's okay to test with other people's money. I think you should prove the business, work it, then you now reach out to other people that, hey, I have something that works. Let's scale together. That is my own. And if you want to raise funds, I think you just do track record, really. Start something with what you have. The 10 naira you have, start with it. The $1 you have, start with it. Do something. Just do something. Let's see that you can increase $2 to $20. Aha, that means if I give you $2,000, you go to $10,000. Hey, then you have me. I think it's a track record thing.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, if you've got questions for Mr. Jegede, please use the question icon so that I can also take your questions in the course of this live before we conclude. If you've got questions, drop the questions in the question icon. What challenges have you encountered along the journey? And to narrow it a bit, what was one of the biggest challenge that you encountered, or perhaps roadblock rather, that maybe almost made you want to turn back? Maybe.
There's been a lot of challenges over the years, from policies to there's been a lot of challenges, right? And so from funds, so if you want to, that there's an opportunity staring you in the face, and you don't have the funds, as it were. So you begin that process of having to sit down and planning, then you may want to get a space, and maybe somebody says, oh, I'm not giving you this space, that kind of thing. Or you are doing well in a space, they want to take the space from you, or staffing challenges. You hire somebody that is trustworthy, and the person, back then, wanted to steal you blind, you're struggling with the business because quite a number of challenges, really. Quite a number. Somebody sees you doing well, one of the people that we expanded to back then saw that we're doing well and said, oh, okay, they'll stop us, more or less stop us from selling. And, they took over, what we were doing in the same form. In fact, they didn't even remove the name or the logo, they were using it for a couple of months before somebody said, this is unethical. Why will you do such a thing? So yes, it was, so there have been a lot of challenges. So from financial to human capital, if you're lucky enough, if you're lucky enough, you should, how would I put it? If you're just starting out, I wanted to say, if you're lucky enough to just be starting out, I think you should put some systems in place so that even if you put your blood relative or you put, somebody who is an acquaintance or somebody who is trustworthy, there'll be no room. You don't need to trust the person. All you need to do is trust the system, right? And then you'll be very dispassionate. You just look at the book. So there's a lot of trusting back then. So I think it was a systems issue that we had at the very beginning. Major systems at the beginning, yes. So there were a lot of challenges.
What are some of the systems you were able to build, and then you're also going to advise a starting entrepreneur to build, in terms of, if you want to mention maybe 3 to 5, so that a person wondering, what does system look like if I'm going to implement it? So is it human resource? Is it writing out processes? What does system look like when you say putting system in place could save a lot of challenges?
Okay. So, for example, systems is not just about writing out systems or writing out protocols or SOPs. It's about actually adhering to it. Then there should be no system where there should, for example, let me just speak freely. If a store exists and there is nothing monitoring, there is no cash register, there is just simple stuff. cash register, POS, supervisor. Everybody can just be anywhere. I just started by myself, and when I was not around in some of those stores, anything just happened. Just putting those checks and balances can save you a lot of stress and a lot of money, right? So later on, we got a HR. I was the HR accountant, just like any other business. I was the one doing everything. I had access to the funds. I could just, touch companies, money. Then when you start putting systems in place, it will even hurt you a little because, what you were enjoying back then just deep into the company. That stops. But the business is now a truly separate entity from who you are, right? So, and once your business is a truly separate entity from you, it can survive without you. It runs without, it has its own money, different from your own, then it can outlive you. Then you can travel, and that's when you are truly a CEO, a chief executive. You're a business owner just running solo. You're just a business, you're not a CEO. I say it, humorously. The CEO is chief executive officer. There are other executives.
Yes.
You can travel and the business is running. You get what I'm saying? That's when you truly begin to see, you begin to, that's when you begin to have a life apart from your business. When the business runs, make money, it's because of those systems. But if you are the one that they cannot breathe without you being there, they cannot do something without you being there, they cannot make some decisions without you there. If you don't put those systems there, the weight may just be too heavy for you eventually. So I hope it makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. And I wanted to ask, how were you able to separate emotions when you had, emotions with decisions that you had to make, maybe with hard decisions you had to make when you experienced one of the challenges that you went through? Because we had a lot of people saying, oh, they experience a challenge and they become depressed and whatnot. Some people even give up because of some challenges that they're going through. How were you able to just make sure that there is that control in terms of emotions and making the decisions, or seeing the challenge for itself without it mixing up with maybe ruining your personal life in that sense? Somebody
Okay, I'm trying to understand. You said?
No, I said somebody saying thank you for the last answer you gave.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Oh, Moyo. Hi.
Yes.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'd like you to rephrase the question.
Okay. How were you able to, you spoke about challenges, that you had a lot of challenges. Did those, maybe I should put it this way, did those challenges affect you emotionally, and how were you able to process that without it getting too personal for you? I think, that's a better way.
When there's an issue of trust, right, it affects you emotionally. It goes without saying. Right, and once you're putting blood, sweat, and tears, right, into this business, trying to ensure that it grows, you're growing your staff, you're trying to take care of them. I've always been the proponent of, hey, pay your staff well. Most places that we are the best paying in those spaces. So a lot of people really want to work for us, right? So I've always been that, okay, I'm going to try to take care of my staff. I'm going to try to take care of my, the business. I'm going to try to give my customer the best. So when you see somebody just do rubbish that can mess up several years of building, it's not very, it doesn't really sit well. It affects you emotionally, especially if you're emotionally tied to your business. It affects you. You build something with somebody, for example, for a couple of years, maybe like you built a business, and this person suddenly starts taking money without your knowledge, just things that it will affect you, but you have to just sit up and say, hey, you factored this into your business plan. The first one may shock you. but you factored it into your business plan and you say, okay, I'm going to keep going. These are some of the challenges that come with running a business, right? So once you factored it into your business plan, you understand that these things will come. Just like in other spheres, e.g., politics, you
Mm.
expect that it's something that you're laughing today, understand that tomorrow. So just factor it into your business plan. Well, once you can
Mm.
factor it and you think you can still succeed, then you know that you overcome. And it is not peculiar to you. Life is not targeting you as a person.
Nice,
It
nice.
is it's not targeting you. It is what it is. It is just the demands of
Mm.
the business you're in, or the industry you're in. So if you really want to enjoy the perks, you're going to have to work.
Mm.
You have to put in the work, you put in the system, you make sure that the business does not die and the business succeeds. So it will affect you a bit, but you have to just suck it up and move on. Yeah. And
Okay.
don't let it affect future decisions. So there are some past hurts that you can use to affect. So because you know that somebody did this, somebody has this personality trait, and this person was the one that did something 5 years ago in the business. If another person has that same personality trait,
Mm.
right, and it's not a toxic one, I know toxic, they use that term a lot in this day and age, and it's not a toxic one, I think it's something
Mm.
that don't cast uh, as no as don't cast the same image. Don't don't punish the new person for that old person, as it were.
Mm.
So you learn, you watch, you read the room, and you move on from it.
That's really good. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Mr. Jegede. You answered
Yeah.
the question well.
Thank you.
Please use the question icon for your questions, please, so that it doesn't get lost with the people joining the live. What victories have you encountered along the way? What are your biggest victories? Maybe your three biggest victories that you would like to share with
Mhm.
us.
Okay. Victories. Business, I think is hiring one or two of the hires who have. I have somebody. I won't call him a victory, as I think he has offended me a couple of times. Um, there was somebody who there's somebody who has been working with me for 11 years, right? And there's some level of peace of mind, right there. So that's a good one. I was lucky, you
Mm.
know, because it could have really frustrated the business if it was some unscrupulous person who did not like you. He's not perfect, but I think that's a win. One of the victories, having our store in ICM, I'm very grateful to God for that. Another victory is, choosing to start the cafe, based on what I saw, and yeah, and choosing to expand into some locations, So there have been a couple of victories, yes, if you call
Okay.
that business-related victories.
What was, I want to speak about okay, before I get to that question, what made you not give up on ICM when you were held on for like a year without getting the space until you got the space after? What made you continue to persist that no, I'm going to continue asking?
um, by God's grace, I think I'm very dogged. I think I'm very tenacious. Until I know that is absolutely not possible, I won't give it. So there's a chain of restaurants that we chased for about 4.5 years before they accept to take our product. 4.5 years, yes.
Wow.
4.5 years before they accept because you just keep pushing. I won't, I don't know if it comes easily to other people, but sometimes you just get weary and you're like, hey, I'm not following up again. But sometimes you just keep going. You know that there's an opportunity here. You keep calling, you keep checking in because you keep hitting, you keep hitting, you keep hitting, you keep. So for the rock to slice, it may not look like you are doing much when you are hitting a rock, you know. And, when you're following up, I found out, when you're following up, you begin to see, the real stakeholders, the real decision makers. You go there today, you see the person at the gate. Then the person sees you somewhere. I said, there's no space. There's no space. Sorry, this and that. Then you come again and say, okay, speak to this person. You build relationship with the person at the gate, the gatekeepers. Okay, this is the person in charge. That person is just meeting you. You follow up again. Then if you keep going, the only places that I give up on are the places my spirit will tell me, no, don't go ahead.
Okay.
So once I get that intuition or that directive that don't bother yourself, I won't. But if I don't get that restriction, I will keep going. So I think that has really, when I see the opportunity, it's a two-edged sword, right? You may push for something and find out, oh, there's nothing there. But it's good, at least that kills the question you would have been having in your mind that, okay, what if I pressed a little longer?
Yeah.
What if I did, what if maybe I would have been here, maybe I shouldn't have given up, so because you don't want to have such regrets. And you win some, I found out that you win some, you lose some, I'm hoping that I keep winning many, and stop losing, much, or I won't lose any in the future. So I think that what kept me going was just the opportunity and the timing that, okay, I should be here. I should have a store here. There was nobody doing smoothies here. I should have a store here. I should have a store here. And, when after following up, I had no space. Sorry, no space. Then they saw the value proposition. Then when some store was leaving, they called me, that, hey, we have a space here now. So it was just the fact that maybe it was just providence, right? I just knew that I had to have a store there. Yeah, that was what just kept me going.
Yeah, I think that was an important insight. Thank you. What has surprised you along your journey so far? But before you answer that, how old is Fruity Life in 2023? How old is Fruity Life in 2023?
Fruity Life is 12 years. 12 years old.
Wow. In the 12 years.
We started like 2-3 years before we registered officially. But officially 12 years old.
What has surprised you the most in this journey? Like, I wasn't expecting, whether negative or pleasant surprise, whichever one really surprised you.
So, surprising, I think, is how back then 1 or 2 trusted people could just up and go. It was really surprising. You think that we're building together, and that's why some CEOs, when they say some staff don't care about you, something, and that's the way they relate with their staff. I don't let that affect me, when relating to staff. But some of the biggest surprises I've had is how people some people who you think they believe in your vision can just up, at the slightest, maybe 50 or 100K increase in salary. That was back then. Attrition rate is low, now, but it really surprised me. Like, I thought we had, so it was a big surprise. Trust me. You don't find out. That's why some people say it's lonely. It could feel very lonely at the top, and I'm still growing. I won't even say I'm there yet. We're still in fact, we're upcoming, really. So that really surprised me. Another one was, I think the flagship store, which was Covenant. How we started the business, nobody was doing it, and some people now see that, you're now successful, and painting, a different narrative, to maybe the management or something. So there was a struggle back then of, we want to do it ourselves or something like that, but it took crossing a lot of hurdles, those challenging days where, they stop your business because of this and that. This was back then, in
Yeah.
sales, so I think they were really surprising. And it's surprising how, this is on a lighter note, how you can work, get a lot of money to take some days to gather some money and you can blow it within an hour. You know, it's really, really surprising. It's it was very surprising to me. Anyway, but that's on the lighter note. So quite not so staff, leaving, people just, you know, trying to create policies to kick you out. Yeah, those are some of the surprises that I think now
Mm,
I anticipate surprises. Like, in fact, if it's going too clean, if nothing is happening, you're like, hey, are we expanding as fast as we should? You know,
mm,
if are we
mm,
expanding, if it's just okay and you're plateauing, like, are we growing? Are we
mm,
expanding as fast as we should, as be as big as we can? As because if it's not really challenging, then I'm not saying you should be looking for trouble,
mm.
right? But if it's not constantly challenging, if they're not constantly pushing, then something is up. So just anticipate it, get ready to solve it, and that's what will form your success story later on in the year.
So, Jegede, you've shared so much insight in this short time. We would like to
Thank
know,
you.
how do you refresh? How do you plug in to grow yourself? What are the things that you do? In what ways do you grow yourself, grow your wisdom, your understanding? Because
Mm,
what you're just sharing now, within this hour that we're having this conversation, I definitely know that if we're to get into details, is even much, it can be much more tougher. So what
mm,
keeps you, number one, and how do you, what's your development, your personal development plan that just keeps you growing in your mind to become this
mm.
person?
So I think YouTube is a university, right? I think you have a lot of videos there that can help you. Uh, I have friends that we meet as often as possible, just to stimulate each other. I read books, so association, can keep you going. Books can keep you going. Videos can keep you going. Mentors can keep you going. So I'm the type of person that will travel, pay a lot of money to meet somebody that I really admire to get information. Because once I can get that information, one of my mentors, I met him that way, in Kenya, I think in 2018 or so, or 2019, so, and it was, I determined to meet this man, right? And I did.
Mm,
So, get inspiration because knowledge is the currency, really. If I have the right knowledge, I can create something that can bring a lot of money. So
mm,
if I exactly, so if I go after knowledge and I get the right knowledge, I promise you that whatever else I should have been chasing, I can get it. So how I do it is I read books. So funny thing about knowledge is this: you may take to come up with a product, right? It may be one idea from a book, one idea from a video, one idea from your mentors, one idea from your association. You just juxtapose it and it comes to one thing. And you can't really say exactly where it came
yeah,
from, but you took
that's
pieces
true.
of a lot of things
Yes,
that became
exactly.
that one thing.
Yeah.
And customers just love it. Then so I think those are some of my sources. And the major source is, personally I believe in meaning, I believe in life, I believe in God, right? So if we are alive, there must be a reason, there must be a creator, and I believe in praying. So praying, meditating,
Mm.
amongst other things. Mm.
I will answer your question, was I would ask your question rather. So I've seen it. Thank you for dropping the question. Mr. Jegede, from how you shared your story with us, someone may be asking, I'm sure you, because if your bio tells us that you like passing knowledge to people who want to learn in terms of entrepreneurs and all that. You must have heard the question of purpose perhaps a lot of time. So what do you have to say to those who are searching for purpose, who are in the business lane? What do you have to say to that? Because now how you evolved, you are living literally a purposeful life that is inspiring other people, even via your product. You don't even need to meet you. The excellence of your product already speaks. So I just want you to just something regarding that whole purpose. If for anybody who may still be wondering, do I need to now have something deep, a deep voice before I get into business to be living purposefully?
Well, I think that every business should have a purpose. You every business should have something that it is solving. Every business should have something that it is solving. And whatever your hand finds to do, do it well. So while you're searching for what to do, when it comes to what is my assignment, maybe that's a better phrase. What's my assignment? What am I meant to solve? Right? Do what you can. Be responsible. Earn some money. Be there for people who don't have it. One of my major driving forces is I would like to be able to influence things, uh, in the right way for God's sake, right? So that's a major driving force. So if your assignment, if you can't, somebody said something is I think it was ALOX. There's one YouTube uh, channel that is ALOX. They said they quoted somebody. He said you can't save the world if you're still thinking of your next meal or something. There are some things you cannot do if you don't have the resources to do. So if I'm getting your question very right, I'll suggest that while you're looking for your assignment, while you're trying to know, okay, what business should I go into? What should it solve? Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Do it push as far as you can, and in time, you begin to see some things. And while you're probing, while you're asking questions, you're going to get answers. It may not come on the first day, it may not come on the first year, it may come in the first week, it may come in the second year as to, okay, what else should I go into? What other solutions should I provide? So if I get your question right, I think do what you can now, keep going, then later on you delve more into things that you want to do or you're passionate about.
The branches, a person listening to you that is learning from this conversation, what is the point, at what point, or what is the sign and signal to know when to expand a branch? So from ICM now, it has been expanded to Ogodru, and then there is Ikoyi, at least as at 2023. What were the signals and signs before expanding to those places in Lagos? Because there is Landmark, CU, and all that. But I'm talking about expansion in it. Was there any particular sign and signal? And for somebody listening, should there be specific signs and signals the person should look out for to know it's time to expand?
So I think I've always wanted to reach a lot of customers with great tasting products. So for Fruity Life, we want to do healthy and delicious meals or products that are affordable and easily accessible. That's it. Healthy, delicious, affordable, accessible. So since we have a roadmap, so it's easier to say it's time to expand. So if a lot of people are saying, ordering from Ikorodu, then it means that we need to get a store in Ikorodu. If a lot of people are calling from a certain location, don't. So let me tell you something. There's something that really imprinted in my heart, and uh, um, I said that I don't want to be a local champion, right? It was a story. So there was this cold room growing up on our street. A lot of people used to come from different streets to that cold room. So
Mm-hmm.
they will walk long distances to buy chicken or fish, from that place. People queued up in that shop, you know. We would go. Then, if, in hindsight, in
Yes.
retrospect, I can see that if they had sense enough, they should have said, okay, where are most of our customers coming from? Let's go and set up a shop there. Let's be the one there.
Mm.
Then let's go and set up here. Then let's go and set up there. But they rode the wave to the shop. Then at the point, I saw that some other cold rooms started opening in the streets after, Nigerians or anywhere else in the world. When you're doing a business that is working, they see it as, this is where the money is, and they run after it. You know.
Yes.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so um, it got to a point. I think like some 5 years ago, I was driving past that place. I saw that the place is a shadow of itself. I
Mm.
mean, it's just that place. I don't know if it's still the same person,
Mm.
but they have pepper. They have in small, um, in small plates. I'm like,
Mm.
oh my. So
Wow.
while you are seeing a lot of people rushing your product, I think you shouldn't sit down. You should push. You double down with that money. So when competition comes, you are able to, with your revenue or profit, fight competition. You have some money allocated for uh, chasing competition or fighting off competition, for growing your business. You have an R&D department just listening to your customers. Okay, what do they want? Let's do this.
Mm.
So grow really fast when you're making a loss. And I think that is what should be like a pointer to you to expand. Like you said, we have in Ikoyi, Ogudu,
Mm.
and we have in Iju. We have about 15 locations now,
Wow.
nationwide, and you
Wow.
you you just keep going. If you say, "Oh, I have 5 places," and you rest, you get to a point where those 5 places will not be enough for you again. But with each store we open, it reinforces the brand. Like, oh, okay, I saw this brand in ICM. Now you're in Ikoyi. Oh, I saw this brand. Now you're in Lekki One. Now you're in,
Mm.
do you get? So people
Mm.
begin to trust the brand when they see you more, in a lot of places, and you have a good product. So I think the pointer is just it depends on your objectives, on your vision. If you get to maybe a certain location and you rest, you'll find out in the future that that may not just be enough. You
Mm.
have to keep evolving. Um, I think adaptability is the new stability. So back then you could start a business and make a lot of money, and it takes years, decades before somebody will come and change it. Maybe the printing press. It'll
Mhm.
take years before somebody. Now you can start a business and it becomes obsolete in a year. So I don't know if you've seen Zoom shares. It's not very, very appealing, and I don't
Mm.
know if it can go back up. But during COVID, shares went up, and it's been, and back then some shares went down and it's coming up. So
Coming
hey,
up.
just keep expanding, keep adapting, and if adaptation calls for expansion, so be it.
Okay. Thank you so much. How do you balance, and we'll start to round up shortly. How do you balance human resources versus the standard of your dream? This question was really important for me when I put it out there, because I've seen the quality of the product that Fruity Life puts out there. So there's a certain standard. How do you balance getting in the right human resource that can maintain that standard or is it back to the system you spoke about, or how do you navigate and balance that? So be sure that somebody puts the right amount of grip so it's not looking substandard than the delivery we had yesterday, that sort of thing.
I think it's a non-negotiable. The standard should dictate who remains.
Okay.
It's not a charity center. It's a place of work. You're a team before you become a family. Everybody must show that, hey, I'm meant to have a seat at the table. You're not there to babysit anybody, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing you should look at your business. What is the business asking for? And if you don't adapt to it, if you're sentimental, somebody is not bringing the right standard, and you're sentimental about it, your customers will withhold their funds from you. And if your bosses don't pay your salaries, your customers are your bosses. If they don't pay your salaries, hey, you're going to go hungry. And since you don't want to mess with the bosses, you have to give them the standard they always ask for. So it's initially it was sentimental. Hey, how will we let this person go? How will this person feel? How is that person making your business feel? You're not there to train. You should train your staff. Hopefully, you are getting people who have some level of training that can positively impact your business. Impact your business. So, when it comes to human resource, nowadays we're quite intolerant with lack of excellence. If you are costing us a lot of money, except it's for R&D, R&D has to keep going. You spend a lot on R&D. We're constantly testing week on week. Ask any man Fruity Life Management. There is no month that goes by that we've not tested a couple of products. Oh, is this one good? Should we remove this? Should we add this? That is how it should be. Because what you liked 5 years ago as a meal may not be what you like now. Okay, where are people diverting? So just position yourself where the customers are going, rather than try to force them to love your product. Then you now be saying, you may think that it's some villagers that are on your case.
Okay.
No, So position yourself. If your staff or the person who is meant to serve your bosses or help you deliver better services is not doing a good job, your bosses, which are the customers, will not be very happy with you. And if they are not happy with you, they withhold their funds. So you don't allow that. Initially, it was sentimental, but now we are very intolerant to lack of excellence. We've told you, we've warned you, giving you a strong letter of warning, suspension, the next, you have to go. There are processes for that. So right now, if you want to scale and you want to maintain, because with the dollar going up, etc., people are very concerned about, okay, what do I spend my money on? Should I go and buy a drink now, or should I eat food? Should I go to this mom and pop shop and just buy gari and this? So a lot of decisions are being made. Ensure that when they come to you, you give them the best product. And if we cannot give them the best product because a person is messing up, then we're not doing justice to Fruity Life and her potential. Yeah, so we are very intolerant of lack of excellence now. More intolerant than back then.
Okay.
Yes.
Whew, okay, that was a very good answer. I really learned a lot personally. If you were to start Fruity Life today, all over again, would there be something you would do differently? Whether you add or subtract, if you were to start Fruity Life again today, as in July 8, 2023, what would you do differently or not do differently?
To start Fruity Life again, I'll do a lot of things differently. I'll be a lot more aggressive from the get-go. I'll be a lot more aggressive. I'll be a lot more aggressive. Well, I'll put systems in place from the go. See, company culture is not easy to change. It is almost impossible to change. You may need to cut off something like cancer. It will cut off both the cancer and some working cells.
Mm.
It's not easy to change it. So I will put culture in place. I want, with no sentiment whatsoever. There'll be some level of empathy. Your staff
Mm.
have to live well. If they're sick, you know, you have, HMO pension, etc. I think it's HMO, yes.
Mm.
HMO, put some things in place to make their lives better. Like they should all just think about work, only just think about work. Like, so if I'm going to start again, I think I'll be a lot more aggressive. I'll be intolerant with the lack of excellence because you lose customers when somebody messes up. You know, you lose customers, and some customers will not come back again. And that's the only impression about that they have of you. You can't tell them that I'm sorry. Okay, so you imagine you go to a restaurant and that was the
Mm.
first time there, and they tell you, no matter how legitimate the reason is,
Reason, yeah.
right? So they tell you that, oh, the chef, think of it. Look, the chef is she was really good, then she was pregnant, then something happened. Like I mean, think of how far you can go and you
Yeah.
expect some level of sympathy. I worked for my money. I want to come and eat.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come to hear stories. So if
True.
I were to go back, I did see, yes, I feel for you. But
Mm.
I don't come back. At that place, don't go there. Something is always happening. It's because don't worry, it's because this
Sorry for
happened or
every
that.
day.
They did not come to hear stories from you. So if I can go back, I'll be a lot more aggressive. I'll yank some people off, put some people in, hire some technical skills from the get-go. It looked like it was expensive at that time, but you were losing a lot more because there
Mm.
were a lot of loopholes. You know,
Wow.
sometimes. So if I could go back, I'll be a lot more aggressive. I'll be a lot more dispassionate. What is the data saying? The data is showing that you are not, the output you are giving is not what we require. I'll give a lot more to the customers. I'll expand a lot faster. So if I could go back, but hey, we're in 2023 and we can start again. We can pivot. We can
Yeah.
go. Yeah. So.
Yes. But that would be very useful for someone who is about to start. So,
Mm,
that would be a good question for them. The Fruity Life Pack, the parfait, which is my favorite brand, my products of your brand,
yeah.
talks about how for every pack we buy, it sends a
Yeah.
child to school. Could you talk to
Yeah.
us about what that is about and why you started that?
So I've always wanted to send people to school. I don't know why. Because I know that with the right education, you can take people off, the street.
Mm.
So personally, through my personal capacity, Fruity Life has sent. Currently, we currently have 4 people in university. Private university. We have uh, some people have graduated. So for every pack you buy, there's one person here, one person there that we can lift, help pay their fees. There's some missionaries that we send money to. So
Mm.
hey, okay, missionaries, businesses, anybody
Mm.
that we support with money. It's always been a personal desire. One of my mentors, right, Strive Masiwa, man is sending 40,000, 40 to 50, no, 40 to 60,000 children to school per time. Orphans in Zimbabwe, not 40 to 60, not 400, not 4,000, 40 to 60,000 children to school per time T. And about 300 of them or so are in Ivy League schools, universities.
Wow.
So I said, hey, there's somebody who loves God,
Mm.
right? Who is doing business,
Mm-hmm.
and who can do this. And I think it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer to, to, and he's the one that says that every business should have a purpose. As soon as you're starting a business, you know that apart from apart from the people who are buying your product, who you're solving a problem for them directly, it should be solving an indirect problem. It should be whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, or something. So I think it was just, it was just very brilliant. And I saw Fruity Life as a vehicle to help a lot of other people too. When God
That,
blesses you, it's not for you alone.
hmm, hmm.
Mm.
Whew, that's so good. We'll take your question now, more your, I believe. But let
Well,
me ask this other question. Despite the continuous rising cost, what makes you still, or what do you do? What are the secrets you can share with us that still helps you keep your excellence work and delivery with a decent pricing? In my own area, so I'm sure the way I get Pretty Life from is a third party store, my mall. The
yes.
price increased, but not as much as we were even thinking. But it's still the same excellent, the chocolates, everything inside there. So what is that secret that is still keeping that standard of excellence? Because let me say that there are other parfaits in that fridge, and I tell the attendants, these things are not parfait. Sorry, like I just say it, like compared to
Thank you very
Fruity Life,
much.
I tell them.
Thank you very much.
So I know the excellence. I tested one time when Fruity Life had not been delivered that day. Of course, I couldn't go back. Not because, apart from being sentimental, it just wasn't excellent. But it was how much? It was even a price. It was even 100 naira higher than Fruity Life. So this question is really
Yeah.
important for me to ask you how you still keep that standard with the decent pricing.
Okay. I'm glad you asked, and it's an exciting question. We try to, we do at scale, right? So it's easier for us to get things slightly more affordable,
Okay.
than others. Yeah, that's number one.
Mm.
Two is if you ask any staff of Fruity Life, one of the mantras is value for money.
Mm.
So sometimes it's the accountant or the staff that or the management team that say we have to increase our prices. We have to increase our prices because I may say, let's just hold it in because I'm looking at the people who are buying. So you
Mm.
are constantly grappling with, okay, competitors' prices, um, macroeconomics, policies, etc., how they affect imports. You're grappling with staff who want pay increase. There are also customers who are your bosses. Hey, have they increased their income like that? So a lot of things are going through your mind as the CEO. So we're always pushing for value. How
Mm.
do we how do we give value? Ask any management staff of Fruity Life. They'll say value for money.
Mm.
How always thinking about the customer. How is it great tasting? Will you go back? Another question when we do our R&D on a weekly basis, if we are sampling a product, we'll say, will you go back for this product? Will you go out of your way to buy this product? If you say no, we throw it out of the window. So what you may be seeing on the shelf, we've done maybe like tens or hundreds of other products that did not see the light of day, you know. So constantly trying, we want to be a store known for excellent products. So every product is a hit, right? Is excellent. If you are buying this, it's great tasting. If you are buying this, it's great tasting. That's what helps you to outlive competition, as it were. So for Fruity Life is excellence or nothing. If you are not number one, our yogurt, right?
Mm.
When we're doing sampling, if people say, "Oh, this is really nice," but we knew that if it is not better than the best, then you're dealing with human beings, for God's sake. You're dealing with human beings. If they taste it and it's not nice, they won't buy again. If you taste it and it's just there, they won't buy again. So you must, always deliver excellence. Always. I must say, some people drop the ball, and in every organization, some people drop the ball,
Mm.
you know, and you have to quickly rise from it. But, always do your best to ensure that you deliver excellence. You deliver, you hand excellence. Let the customers be your evangelist. Let them be the
Mm.
one talking about your product. Do something so good that they taste it and say, man, I've tasted different cafes and this has been the best. Like you said here, I tasted this one, it was not excellent. I
Ah,
hear that a lot of
oh
times.
my
You know,
goodness.
I if I got $1 for every time I heard that, maybe I'll be a billionaire now. You know? Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's it.
And
Always try to deliver excellence.
I just have to just emphasize, because when I started eating it, then I introduced it to my husband. Like, oh, okay, this parfait you're always eating. And when my husband
Mm,
tasted it, of course, it was so good. So one time, like I said, the supply for that week had not come. We now tried
yeah.
something, another. My husband was so annoyed. Like, that was this, like, really, and was like, of course, we're not having any other parfait if it's not Fruity Life. So if we go to our shelf, or our fridge rather, our mall's fridge, and there's no Fruity Life, we're not buying parfait that day. We're going to buy any other.
Wow.
But yeah, we are not, so there's no
Wow.
competition in our hearts. And I'm just
Thank
giving you this
you.
testimonial.
Thank
It's
you.
because of the work you do. So the fruit I don't need to be like, oh my God, with somebody else. No, we are not going to buy from anybody until the supply comes in. And now I understand why
Thank you
that
very much.
excellence is kept up. Thank you. Okay, let me
Thank
take.
you very much. And if I must say, everything is fresh.
Hmm,
So there's something that we do that a few people don't know.
hmm.
If you don't sell our product in 2 days, we retrieve it. Some people leave
Oh,
their
wow.
parfaits on the shelf for a long time. If you've not sold it in 2 days, we retrieve it. We make it the night before. So it's like a day plus. We retrieve it. If it's not fresh, we bear the burden. Ask any third party store or any of our stores, Fruity Life stores. So when you go there and you see fresh product, they don't just remain fresh. We are not putting preservative. They won't
Yeah.
just stay fresh, for the longest time. So freshness is one of the things that, so we stomach it. If for example, it rains or not a lot of customers, they say, what do we, there is no compromise. You
Hmm.
trash it. And until you have enough customers who know that, hey, Fruity Life is fresh, don't worry. And in fact, if they buy from a third party store and they see that something is not, they know that something is wrong.
Hmm.
Like, hey, this is not the Fruity Life way, you
Yes.
know. Yeah,
Yes.
so we are known for freshness. Yeah. I thought to put that out there.
Well, oh, Mr. Jegede, that is high standard. Like, that is next level. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the
Yes.
freshness, retrieving it
We
if it's not
replace
sold out,
it.
packaging it.
Yeah. We
Wow, I
replace it.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, before I ask you about the JEGS Foundation, let me ask yours question. She says, what is your take of giving out lunch to your staff? Does it motivate them on the long run? I guess she just wants to, just for business, I'm sure.
Hmm. So there was at a point we're giving, so there was this sister business we started doing, which was Acid Hot, right? Then it morphed into Super Chops. So it was
Mm,
finger food and the likes at the Keja City Mall. At that time, we had people who could cook, so we're giving staff lunch, right?
okay.
I think it's any way you can help staff when it comes to staff lunch, you know, you should. It can motivate them. It can. Good people are good people. People that are not so good are not so good, to put it that way. People who will still see all the good you're doing and still try to, sabotage in some way. They exist.
Yeah.
They'll see miracles like Judas Iscariot. He went
Mm,
out, and he saw all the miracles that Jesus did, but he still sabotage.
yeah.
So I think staff lunch can help. If you can do it, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer
Okay.
for the person asking the question.
That's
I
it.
think it's a no-brainer. If you can do it, you can accommodate it. And
Mm,
if you know you can't, I think you should just factor it into this person's salary. That you're
okay.
giving the person, oh, you're going to be buying food. Here's extra X amount of money, for
Mm,
you to. So a lot of people will really, I mean, they were looking forward to it, when
mm,
uh, they were looking forward to it,
mm.
staff lunch. It's funny because the cumulative amount, maybe they would have spent 1K per day for like, the 20 something days they're working, or the 20
Yeah.
days they're working, and that money they can use it for something else. So if you can, I suggest that you do it. If you cannot, wait till you can grow to the point where you can do it. And if it's something you want to factor into salary increment, please, by all means.
It's okay. All right. So you're the visionary of Mr. Jegs Africa, a platform designed to
Africa.
direct impact business people. Could you speak to us a
Mm.
bit about what that is about?
Okay.
The other side of it.
So the aim of Mr. Africa is the aim of come again.
No, I said the other side of Mr. Jegede apart from Fruity Life.
Okay, so Mr. Dex Africa is the aim was it is to demystify success and to make it replicable. So
Okay.
demystifying success. Uh, for African businesses, when we started, African businesses, you know, they see some of these businesses as, hey Penel, I'm on the live. You can shut the door, shut the door, close the door. No, no, no. All right. So apologies for that.
Oh,
So
no problem.
Mr. Dex Africa, the aim is to demystify success and make it replicable. That's really it. So we intend to interview HNIs. We've started. We took a pause for a while,
Okay.
but is to interview HNIs, get principles for them. I love when we get principles from people who have gone ahead of us to know what they did to get to where they are. Once you can get principles, you can apply it. If you apply the same thing they used in that scenario, you may not get the same result.
Mm,
But if you take the first principles, it's just like a formula. What formula works?
mm,
How can I apply it here? So this is a formula. When this particular question is asked, this is how you tweak it. But if you just take the scenario, hook, line, and sinker,
mm,
you may think that, oh, it's not working for you, while you're meant to take the principle of that. So it's principles that you can build on. So the aim was to take touch, pick the minds of people who have gone ahead of us to say,
okay.
hey, how did you do it? How
Mm,
did you get there? Just a one-on-one where we demystify the success and say, okay, I can actually apply this. I can actually do this and apply this particular. I will suggest you take everything you hear. So you take the meat and throw away the bone. So
mm.
you take some things that can work for your own business and you apply it. And you see that, oh, your business goes is a little better for that. So that's what Mr. Jet Africa is for. And we're coming back, really soon.
Mhm. All right. How do you balance what you do with what you shared with us today is a lot, even if not physically,
Okay.
mentally. So how do you balance that for men who are family men like you, just starting their family, but they want to have a healthy family while also growing their business? What tips do you have for men to be able to balance the family space with their business?
I don't know if I'm qualified to to say because I'm just starting. It's just maybe in the past 2 years I just started balancing anything, you know, balancing.
Yeah.
Um, when you say work-life balance, it depends on where you are going, right?
Mm.
So you ah, data shows that uh, I don't want to reinforce anybody's biases towards what will seem like irresponsibility, so I don't want to
Mm.
reinforce any biases. So, but I think that you should set out time for something. You must, you must be there for your children. You must be there for your wife. You must, you know. So if you must be there for your business, you must be there for your children, and God put you here on earth. You must be there and do all that He sends you with your family, with your business, and even alone, you know. So I think that has to do with scheduling. What at this time I go home. When I go home, this time I turn off my phone. At this time, this is the time I'm spending with. Sometimes you may need to speak to people who have gone ahead of you. How did you do it? How are you spending time? There are some people who on Sundays they don't touch anything that
Mm.
has to do with work. Saturday, Sunday, right?
Mm.
But from Monday to Friday, they don't do any other thing. So that's why I said I that's why I said I won't say I'm an authority in that. I'm still growing because when you're
Yeah.
growing a brand or growing a business, you have to give it all that it takes. If you hear the story of Sam Walton, you know, him and his wife had an agreement, you know, please help with the children, right?
Mm.
I'm going all out, you know, whether unspoken or spoken. But that really helped.
Mm.
When they saw each other again, they made it up. Then he goes again. He was on the road for a long time. Then he even had to get like a plane, a two-seater plane, as
Mm.
it were, to travel around to minimize the time he's on the road for. So, for a growing brand, it's very demanding.
Mm.
It's very, very, very demanding. You have to do some trade-offs at the early years of your children, that's when they can be formed. You don't want to make all the money and they say, hey, our dad was not there for us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
you must have some days for them. Let them know that, okay, this daddy has this day for me, or he has this time for me,
Yeah.
So I think you just keep trying. Ideals, right? When you have some ideals, you there are things you aspire to per time. I do not think you can 100% hit it, every time. But
Mm.
the standard should not be so low where you say, okay, I'll spend
Mm.
5 minutes with my children. I'll spend 5 minutes weekly. Hey, what are you doing?
Mm.
So have some time. If you're the type that you work where your family is, right, have
Mm.
some time daily. And spending 1 hour with the children. We are sometimes we are throwing ourselves on the bed. These children remember. My daughter said something one time, really funny. She was coming to see me. She sat by the door and said, "Daddy," I said, "Adira, what did you say?" She said, "I said what you will say when you see me." I don't know, really, this is 4 years old, right?
Wow.
So, like, I said what you say when you see me. I said, what will I say? She said, you say, wow, look at that. Look at my princess. You know,
Oh.
so in her mind, she already knows that, that thing warmed my heart. She already knows that this is what daddy will say,
Yeah.
and when children have daddy issues, it's not always, so you have to balance it. It is what it is, and you can't cry about it or pat yourself in the back when you are doing a good job. It is just what it requires.
Mm-hmm.
So you are not doing. It shouldn't be seen as special for you to
Mm.
be there for them. It shouldn't be seen as special for you. So you may need to cut off some things, right, that are taking your time.
Mm.
You may need to cut off some things that are irresponsible things, that will take your time, so that you'll be there for the real stakeholders: God, family, and business.
Business. Okay, so again, we're going to your rapid fire question
Thank you.
now because I mean
Oh,
you really
okay.
tried
I'm not
for
aware of
us.
this.
Yes.
Thank
But
you.
before we go to your rapid fire question, which is a question you have to answer under 60 seconds, it's just a fun way to end this.
Wow.
We want to know, we want to do amable question. Your wife is so fine, and we want to know in the briefest way possible how you met your wife and why you chose your wife. So yes.
Ah, we went to see you together. We were
Yeah.
not close in CU. After CU, a friend of mine gave her his BBM. Then she was deleting contacts. She didn't delete mine because I was this guy that could keep up a conversation. I'm good like that. You know. then then we got talking. Then we met. So we went to see you together. I just knew her as this fine baller. This fine
Yeah,
lady.
really
But
fine.
I didn't really, yeah, I didn't talk to her or do anything. But it was, 2 years after graduation, we met, we got talking, but hey, the rest is history from BBM.
Okay, would you tell, do you have, could you share with us one reason why you chose her at the time? Like, yes, this is going to be my wife.
Um, okay, so I think 2 years before that, I saw her, and two children in a dream like that. So, and so 2 years after, I didn't even know, I didn't remember. I
Mm.
just went about it. I just found that okay, I was drawn to this lady. She could keep up a conversation. She was funny, fun to hang out with, you know. And she even had a bet with her friend that she won't date me, you know. But later on, she had to fall for the boy now. Then after which, after which, it was when she said yes, that I remembered it came like a flash what I saw. I was like, wow. And I saw the number of children we're going to have, the gender of the children, so I saw everything back then. So I think she was fun. She could keep up conversations. She loved God. So those were some of the things that I saw.
Okay. Thank you for
Thank you.
indulging us in our amiable question.
Thank
Because
you.
that's not
Thank you
supposed to be
too.
part of the conversation. All right.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up. What is your favorite color? Now to your rapid fire question. What's your favorite color?
Hmm. I think it's becoming some kind of purple. We like call it fruity life purple. But it used to be deep blue. It used to be deep blue and gold. I love the
Okay.
combination of deep blue and gold. Yeah. Not just any gold or any blue. Deep blue and gold. Yeah.
Before we go to the next rapid fire question, how did the name Fruity Life come? Because it's a very interesting name. How did
Yeah,
you
it is
get
actually. I think is having a fruitful life, a fruity life, So, uh, sincerely, I'll have to go back to the books to see how it truly came. And it had
Mm,
to do with fruits. It had to do with having a good life. So,
mm,
imagine it, okay, fruity life. I'm having a fruity life. I think
very
that's
good.
how it came. I'll check the
Okay.
book here.
What is your favorite food?
Mm, my favorite food. Ah, I don't know. It's always evolving. At the point it was pounded yam and egusi. Then at the point it was afang and pounded yam. It could be some type of rice and some shredded beef sauce. So it's always evolving. Right now, I think I have a class of foods that I like.
Mm,
From okay, I think oha fisherman soup, broccoli sauce with some rice. Um, it could be a father. So I don't know the one that I can keep it. I think afang fisherman soup just edges
mm.
over that. I don't really know.
Okay, all right. At least you try to share the variety with us. What are you allergic to, if there's anything?
Allergic. I'm allergic to BS. Um, I'm very allergic to it. Um, I don't I don't know what I'm allergic to. Foods. I just okay. I don't know. I love Gary a lot. If you're talking food, I love Gary a lot. But all of a sudden, maybe if I take Gary the night before, um, I have a headache the next morning. You know,
Oh,
I don't know why, but I really, really love it. With cold water, no sugar, no milk, nothing. Nothing at all. So the reason I don't take it every day now is because it gives me a headache. I don't know why.
okay. Wow. Okay, what's your best movie?
Best movie. Ah, okay. My genre of movies. Okay, it's not a genre. Um, what's the name of this? Hey, Duke. Is it Duke of something? Oh man, I saw the movie a million times. So this man,
Wow.
he was betrayed by a friend. It's so rags to riches. I love movies of where there's rags to riches. Somebody
Hmm.
struggles and oh man, it's been a while I saw it. Or maybe it's just because I'm here.
Yeah, no
It's been a
problem at all.
while I saw it.
But at
Hmm.
least we know
Anyway,
the kinds of movie that
the
you
kind of
said
movies,
that's the
yes,
riches. What's your
yes.
best book?
Best
Ye-
book,
Yes, your best book.
hmm, the Bible.
Okay. Were you given birth to in Nigeria? Were you born
Yes,
in Nigeria? If you were not born in Nigeria, what country would you have liked to be born into?
maybe Japan.
Okay. Gold or silver?
Gold,
Black or white?
black,
Yellow or pink?
yellow.
What is one favorite thing about your wife?
One favorite thing, I think there are a plethora of things I like. She's fun to be around. She's fun to be
Okay.
around. Yeah, she's fun.
What is one favorite attire for you to wear?
Oh, I'm always on track. Almost always.
Okay.
If you see me on suit, it's for a function that requires suit.
Okay. What is one of your favorite things to do?
Favorite things to do. Um, hmm, walking, singing, singing. I love singing.
Okay.
I love music. Yeah.
What do you like to do for fun?
Fun. Okay, it has evolved from swimming to playing football, watching basketball, playing basketball. Favorite, what I like to do for fun, I think is basketball. I think I like watching and playing it and singing also. I think singing, so there are quite a number of things that I do for fun.
Small
That
chops
was the
or
question, right?
yes,
Sorry,
yes,
for fun, right?
for fun.
Okay,
Yes, you're correct.
okay, yeah,
That's the
yes.
question. Small chops or jollof rice?
Come on now. If jollof rice has chicken, if the jollof rice has chicken, then jollof rice. If the small chops has, if it has a lot of protein and it's patchy jollof, so jollof rice.
Okay. Fruits or vegetables?
Fruits or vegetables. If it is, it depends on it can be either. It can be either. If it's fruit, if the vegetable is not raw, I take a lot of raw. Let me say fruits. Fruits.
Fruits.
Fruits.
Okay. Would you rather
Yeah.
take the train or would you rather use a ship, railway or waterways for transportation?
I think I'm not afraid of any, but for the scenery, if it's a good scene, the sea. If it is
Mm,
just a regular scene, I'll use rail.
okay. Bus or an airplane?
Airplane.
Writing or speaking?
Hmm. Actually speaking,
Okay.
writing
R-
writing forces you to think. Anyway, yeah, speaking.
Rain or sunshine?
For fruity life, sunshine.
Okay, okay, nice one. All right, how do you prefer to learn, audio or visual? How do you prefer to learn, audio or visual?
I think visual. Once I see it, I can almost not, or I can almost not unsee it. So yeah, visual.
A day at the beach or a day in one of your favorite restaurants?
A day at the beach.
All right. If you had a magic wand that could change just one thing in Nigeria, what would that one thing be that you would like to change in Nigeria? Just one thing.
I'll change politicians who love Nigerians. I'll change every politician to the ones who love Nigeria.
Just really, really good. All right. And then finally, what do you want to be remembered for?
Hmm. I want to be remembered for uh, being a person who God really helped, right?
Hmm.
Who dared things, who was tenacious and got things, made things happen. Did
Hmm.
a lot for God on earth. I would like to be remembered for that.
Finally, Mr. Jegede, somebody will watch this interview, Instagram, YouTube, they're going to watch it. Is there a way you mentor people for those who are like, oh my God, I want to be mentored by him at this particular time, or how, if a person wants to be mentored or learn
Hmm.
from this one platform, at least watching this interview is learning from you. But
Hmm.
do you have
Yes.
anything like that at this time or maybe later soon?
At this time, I have a couple of people that I'm mentoring, but some people reach out to me. I have to guard my time well because if you mentor everybody and you don't keep training yourself, you become obsolete in a couple of months, right? So there's only so much I can do. That's one of the reasons why we started Mr. Jegede Africa. So
Okay.
once we come back, we're planning on coming back really big.
Mm.
So once we come back, I think YouTube will be a platform to mentor a number of other people.
Yeah, so that answers the question. So Mr. Jegs Africa will sort that out for those who are looking
Yes,
to
yes.
learn. Then a person may also be asking, do you take interns for Fruity Life for persons watching and they maybe want to get into your business? Do you take
Oh yeah,
interns?
yeah. We have a couple of interns when it comes to maybe accounting or HR or something. But interns to come and understudy the business. We are still a growing brand. You know, we are just hands on growing. So really right now we focus on growing the brand
Mm,
for now.
for now.
For
Okay.
now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jegede.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
for
much
your
for having
time.
me.
It was definitely worth it. I will not stop thanking Bola for helping
Thank
to
you.
make this possible. Thank you for your time. And thank you for
Thank
this
you.
seed you have sown that is going to keep
Thank
yielding
you.
years from now because people will be able to
Amen.
interact with this interview and then just get the wisdom they need to move forward, even without meeting you. And that is exceptional. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Jegede.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
It's a privilege.
Yes. All right. Bye.
All right, then. Take care, everyone. Bye.